Mobile phone and broadband users with fixed contracts have been given more rights to protect themselves against price rises.
The communications regulator Ofcom has said that customers should be able to leave a contract without paying a penalty if the provider puts costs up. It's a move which has been welcomed by campaigners.
Ofcom have to apply the law as it stands. They've had a look at the law. I think previously they thought they couldn't be as tough as they'd like to be, but they've now had a serious look at it. They've taken views from consumers and from the industry, and they now have general support for what they're doing, even from the industry, because I think people want to know where they stand. If it says fixed, it should remain fixed.
Well, David Hickson from the FairTelecoms campaign was there. Let's speak to Paul Lewis from Radio 4's Money Box to explain. So what's going on? So people can be on a fixed contract and then the prices can literally change, can they?
Oh yes, all the major mobile phone providers have done this over the last few years. It's happened more than a dozen times. When you're on a fixed contract, you think you're paying £20 a month or whatever it is, and then you've got to stay in it for 2 years, but then part the way through, the telecoms company says we're going to put the price of £20 up to £21 or whatever it is. And in the past, the telecoms companies have said, well, as long as it's no more than inflation, then we can do that, and you can't leave. And if you do leave, of course, you have to pay right to the end of the contract, which could be hundreds of pounds.
How were they allowed to call it fixed if it wasn't fixed? I mean, why? Because
this is a very good question, Charlie, which everyone asks. When their price goes up, they say, I thought it was fixed. Well, it's a fixed term contract. They don't commit themselves to having a completely fixed price.
So the fixed element of it is related to how long you're with them, not the amount.
It is, but people think, well, if I've got a 2-year contract, it's £15, £20 a month, it should stay that level for the whole of it. Telecoms companies have been saying no. Well, now, Ofcom, the regulator, has said any rise in that monthly fee, we would consider to be, and I've got to use a technical term here because it's a European one, a material deprivation. So the customer would suffer a material deprivation if it went up by anything. So it will have to be fixed. Doesn't start though until January for new contracts from January.
And you've got an example of how it might work, haven't you?
Well, yes.
Some examples.
Yes, I mean, the problem that there is, though, is that although the monthly fee is fixed,
yes,
it doesn't apply to the extra cost. Now, if you're on a fixed-term bundle, you get certain calls free. They don't cost you anything. But supposing you call Australia frequently, and the phone company decides to put up the cost of phoning Australia, which is outside your bundle. Now, that isn't covered by this rule. But Ofcom says, well, you've still got to say it's material deprivation. And by coincidence, and I say that because this is what Vodafone told me, by coincidence, on Monday this week, Vodafone announced a whole range of price rises outside its bundle, ranging from 14% to 30%. And it says that isn't covered by the Ofcom guidance.
So it looks like they're trying to catch you in a different way.
Well, they might be, though Vodafone has said that because these rises are actually quite large, if you want to leave without a penalty, you will be able to do so. But it does leave the door open for telecoms companies to put a few things up by a small amount and say, well, no, you still can't leave. In which case, you just complain and go to one of the ombudsmen, and you should be able to leave without penalty.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. We'll be back later.
Back later.